Good evening and welcome to the Saratoga Springs Planning Commission meeting for May 11th, 2023. I've asked Commissioner Doug Wilden if you'd lead us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call. Commissioners Ken Kilgore and Audrey Barton are both excused this evening as they had other things they needed to attend to. So we'll move along to public input. There is no one in the audience, so I will go ahead and close public input at this time. We'll move on to the next item, item number 1, amendments to the City of Saratoga Springs Code Title 19 Land Development Code affecting Chapter 1920 Internal Accessory Dwelling Units, IADUs, city initiated. We're going to continue this item to a future date, but we'll need to motion on that.
So moved.
We have a motion to continue this item till a future date. Do we have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Commissioner Hill and a motion from Commissioner Ryan. And do we have a question on the motion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. That motion carries. We'll move on to item number 2, amendments to the City of Saratoga Springs Code affecting chapters 2.08, real property disposal, 19.02, definitions, 1906, landscaping and fencing, 1912, subdivisions, 1913, specific development processes and submittal requirements, 1914, site plan review, 1917 general plan, ordinance and zoning map, amendments 1921 agricultural protection areas, 1927 addressing and street naming city initiated, and our assistant attorney Frederick Donaldson will be presenting this item for us.
Thank you, Commissioners. Last time we had a meeting, you heard from me about some of the legislative changes that were made during the last legislative session. These code amendments that are being proposed are in response to those state legislative changes. And I will kind of just go through those. And I think it might be helpful as I go through them. If you have questions on the particular one that is in front of you, you can ask those at that time or comments. So we'll just start here. So this is changes to development agreements. This comes from changes in that were made in HB 406, which was a very large bill related to the Land Use Management or Development and Management Act. And so what this says, though, is that we can only require, we can't require development agreements for everything in the city. If a proposed development meets all of Title 19 and they have submitted a complete application and they file that and then they've paid all their fees, then they don't have to have a development agreement. So, and then the other change here is that if a development agreement restricts an applicant's rights under clearly established state law, then we are required to disclose those rights in writing to the developer. Otherwise, we waive enforcement of that. So that's what these changes are. Any questions on this one?
Is that new development agreements
That would be new development agreements. This is, in fact, everything is prospective, nothing is retroactive.
Okay, thank you.
So that's a good question.
When does this go into effect? Just when we vote on it here?
These went into effect already on May 3rd. Not these code changes, but the state law changes have already gone into effect. And our changes will go into effect after your recommendation to the city council if you recommend to approve it.
Okay, and then is there anywhere where the city code doesn't meet the state code that we would need to notify developers on?
Well, that's what we're doing, is trying to bring our city code into alignment with state code. So Can I promise that everything that we have captures everything? Not yet, but that is what we're seeking to do. So you'll be seeing more changes too in the future. So any other questions about this one? Okay. Oh, whoops, I went backwards. Sorry for the small size of this one. This one is changes related to lot line adjustments. It used to say that each owner was required to execute the lot line adjustment approval and sign it, and now they are not required to do that any longer by state code. So instead, we prepare a notice of the lot line adjustment that's signed by the planning director, that recites a description of the original parcels and the parcels created by the property line adjustment. And then they record a deed which conveys the title. It's like a kind of an exchange of title. And then we record the notice of lot line adjustment approval and provide city staff with a copy of the recorded approval. Similarly, related to lot line adjustments, this is basically verbatim from the state code, a property line adjustment between a single lot and an adjoining lot or parcel that does not alter. So the state code says does not alter. The city code and the state code already requires, the state code says that alters the outside boundary is not considered a subdivision plat amendment, but we're also adding that even if it does not alter the outside boundary, it's not a subdivision plat amendment, but that was already the case. So that changes, that's just for clarification. Any questions about this part? Okay.
I have a few questions tonight, but I'm just trying to help understand the changes. So back on the larger one under notice of approval to conveyance, the title. So the process, can you walk me through the process before and then now? The way I'm reading it, like it looks like, help me understand that a little bit, because I looks like a really good thing to me, and now that's all stricken out of there. I want to understand.
Yeah, so they are participating, the owners, by doing if you look at B, they have to do those deeds back and forth between each other.
Okay.
And so instead of having kind of an extra step of, not only do you have to do these deeds between yourselves, but you also have to sign this notice of lot line adjustment approval. Instead, they just said, well, they're already doing these deeds to each other, so they don't need to.
Okay, so that's a process I didn't understand. So they're recording already those. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It used to be called exchange of title,
Yeah.
but lot line adjustment it's just what people understand better is lot line adjustment. So,
Okay. Thank you.
Sarah, do you have anything to add to that? Okay, so now we're moving on to the changes for bonding for private landscaping. Basically, the way the state code is written is it says you can bond for subdivision infrastructure improvements, and you can bond for public landscaping improvements. By implication, what that means is you can no longer bond or you cannot bond for private land improvements. And so that's the change that just happened. And that's the changes that we're making. And so we're defining public landscaping improvements, and it's a mirror of the definition in state code. And then you'll see throughout the code we're changing where it used to say just landscaping improvements, now we're saying public landscaping improvements. So,
Frederick, on the landscaping aspect, are the requirements of landscaping a part of the development or the sub-development in a residential situation?
they are.
Okay.
And they still will be. That's what's interesting. Go ahead, Sarah.
The part I want to clarify is we have landscaping requirements in our code for common areas, not for single-family lots. So this did never apply to that, but it applied to townhome projects or actually commercial landscaping. So we still have all those codes in place, but now we won't be bonding for those. So usually they would have to call for an inspection and then it would have to be done before it's released. So now,
So more of the common area,
yeah, like a HOA common area.
okay. And this is outside the scope because I know this is on bonding, but street trees in the parking area, share just a little background to me on that. The city requires trees between the sidewalk and the curb. Is that a part of the city landscaping code?
It is. So when we do have somebody improve those areas, so again, we don't enforce that on single-family lots, but any other type of development where we enforce a landscape plan, we do require one every 50.
Okay. Thank you.
So, okay, so again, we're substituting, where it says landscaping improvements, we're substituting public landscaping improvements. I'm going to move to the next slide unless someone has a question on this one. This is deleting the language there that says with respect to private landscaping improvements. Again, we're not allowed to bond for private landscaping improvements anymore. So this was surplus language that didn't need to be there anymore. Same here. And we're, again, just adding public landscaping improvements, deleting private improvements there, and then adding public landscaping improvements. So, any questions about the landscaping code changes? This is, I'm just going to add kind of, we're meeting internally as city staff to figure out how to apply this to existing bond agreements and to existing projects, and how to, it ends up becoming now a code enforcement issue rather than a bonding kind of an issue. And so we're meeting internally to talk about those things.
That's kind of where my questions are, is so then what are the tools left for the city to keep control?
The
of
only
it?
tool left is code enforcement.
Okay. I'm not shaking my head at that, it's just
I know, yeah.
unbelievable stuff.
Yeah, because we went through, after 2008, there were quite a few where common areas had not been complete, and we pulled bonds to complete those.
And now you don't have that tool.
Right?
We can't force a developer to do a bond, but can we request one?
We're not even allowed to request one. We can potentially, and this will be a policy question, do it in development agreements, but we haven't made that determination yet as a city.
There's a challenge with that as well, because we can't require a development.
Right.
That was the first part of that.
So and I very much respect that as staff, you guys are, I see that you guys are working really hard on this, but have you guys reached out to any other cities to see what their plans are?
So we have a listserv for all the Utah planners, so I sent that question out to all the Utah planners, what they're doing. They don't have a better answer either. So they are saying the same things we're saying, that it would be possibly through a development agreement, but then we're not allowed to make development agreements mandatory. So then the other option really is code enforcement, but then when you have a situation like a landowner change, then who are we enforcing on?
Yeah, you could have a lot of
So-
stuff left, someone left holding the bag to a lot of stuff.
So we'll be evaluating it. We have a meeting next week, a staff meeting with several of our staff to discuss it further. We don't know what the solution is, or, you know what I mean? We would like to definitely have a solution for this. We haven't, we have to brainstorm that and see what we can come up with that is within the limits of what we're allowed to do.
And I would just note that we had a conference last week, municipal attorneys conference, and this was raised there, is requiring it in development agreements. But again, development agreements are optional, and they wouldn't impact all developments in the city. So,
This is we're down in the weeds, this is jumping to like a 30,000-foot level, but has there been any exchange between like our city council and our local, like, representative in the House or our senator that cover this area?
I don't know. Probably. I know that our city attorney was part of the land use task force and definitely gave input on all these things.
Yeah, and our city manager attends
Yeah.
the whole session, so.
Okay, so now we're moving to notice changes. And this was kind of confusing, I realized, with all the red lines and all the underlines. So this is the new version. Maybe we could just read it together. Notice for items requiring a public hearing shall comply with the requirements of this section and Utah Code Chapters 10-9A and 52-4. The developer shall incur the entire cost of providing the required notice, and additional notice shall be provided as follows. For ordinances, zoning map amendments, and general plan amendments only, mailed to each affected entity, and for community plan adoptions and major amendments, master development agreement adoptions, zoning map amendments, and village plan adoptions and major amendments only mailed to property owners whose lands are directly affected by the proposal. That is the subject of the public hearing, and each property owner of each parcel or lot within 300 feet of the property subject of the public hearing. So what this means, though, in essence, is we didn't want to get into, we wanted to continue to have mailing under certain circumstances. So for example, when there's a rezone, but we didn't want to have to do a mailing to every resident in the city when our code changes. And so that's kind of what this is about, is when there's an ordinance change, we're not going to mail notice to everyone about those code changes. And we're not going to mail notices, and we're going to mail notices pursuant to state law when it comes to annexations, for example, and agricultural protection areas.
I have some more follow-up questions.
Go ahead.
So when I agree with that, I think this is just a matter of like practicality, right? Not like, the things have changed. Like we're no longer doing newspapers, right? And that was the thing that used to be all.
And that's what we got rid of here, too.
Like we're in a new day and age, and it's very exciting. But my question is, like, if an ordinance does change and it says it's only going to be emailed out or mailed out to those affected by the ordinance change, technically, if we're changing an ordinance, I mean, doesn't it affect every citizen in that regard?
Exactly. And that's why we didn't want to have to do mailed notices. We haven't been doing that, and we don't want to have to start
Okay.
mailing notice.
Okay. So then how? And I know there was changes around what like notice you do have to provide.
Oh, yeah.
So what are the options now? I don't know if it was in there. I can't remember. But what are the options now when it comes to?
No, so the options are, and Nikki, would you like to go through how we provide the public notices? How we're doing it now? Okay, I'll just do it.
Hasn't it changed? It's changed though, right, Nikki? Hasn't it changed with this last slew of law?
Actually, this is essentially what we are already doing.
Okay.
So we have been doing the postcards, but we can't physically mail out 56,000 postcards every other week. Like we had to do a very large 700 resident postcard not too long ago that took a combined like 30 hours for people. And so, like, I don't know how we would be able to do that, but it still is noted on all the public websites.
Yeah, so it's on the Utah Public Notice website and on our city's website, and then it's posted here in
Like by the library, right?
yeah, by the library.
So that A is spelled out. It has to be on the Utah Public Notice website, our city website, on our bulletin board, and those are the main spaces that we have
And then-
out there.
And then the intent is if you have comment, that you come to, whether it be planning commission or city council, to put your input into that, to be a part of the record?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, these notices are for the public hearing items. So, any other questions about that? Now, maybe I shouldn't say this. We can do more notice. Nikki doesn't want me to say that. We can. I mean, it's up to us to decide how much notice, but the minimum is, our website, the public notice website, and posting it here in the city in a location likely to be seen by our residents.
Can I ask, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Reed, go.
Just like a scenario, I just want to put it out there just so I can see how it would play out. One that like we're actually kind of facing, right? So we have the ring road possible change. According to this, it's the people that are adjacent on the property and then 300 feet past. Is that how I'm reading that correctly?
Correct.
But that has the impact for that could potentially affect that whole southern half of the city, right? Depending upon what comes in there and how we change it. And it could be a really good thing, but it seems like some people would be like, oh, no, this is horrible. In that instance, our plan would be then to do what is required by the law, right? The downstairs at the library on the public hearing websites, and what was the third one?
Our website?
Are the city's website. And we're calling that good, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, and then the onus is on everyone outside of that 300-foot boundary or no one that's adjacent to pay attention.
Yes,
Is that correct?
that's correct.
We do have you can go on the city's website and sign up to receive notifications every agenda, so you can get an automatic email every time there's a meeting.
Yeah, I get those, yeah.
Yeah, that was a question I had, because that is a fairly easy, you have people sometimes that just want to know what's going on.
Yeah.
But they're not proactive enough to go to the three
Well, then they're
sides. So,
upset
but if
when
you
it
could
does
be a
happen,
mailing list
yeah.
just to know.
Okay, and just for clarification, Nikki told me that it's working on that signing up for that is working on the state website. It's not working on the website right now, but it's the same information, but it would be on the state website that you would sign up.
I wonder if it would be helpful, and it's neither here nor there for our jurisdiction or whatever you want to call it, but just to re-educate the public. I don't know, like in the city monthly newsletter that goes out, if there's like a little blurb that says, hey, you want to sign up for the notices for all these, like, hey, there's been
I think
some.
it's a great idea.
If you want to make sure that you're aware of everything happening, here's the link.
I think it's a really good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it might help because, it's not like we were all getting these things anyways, right? Like nobody's, again, reading the paper or doing anything. But it might show like a more proactive approach from the city and help us cover our bases a little bit more when something that is more impactful than just that 300-foot, parameter that's established. And we just say, hey, there's a little blurb in the newsletter that says you want to be engaged or involved, here's how you can sign up for the alerts.
That truly falls under transparency,
Yeah.
and we want to be seen as
I think it's a great
a bit
idea.
above, yeah.
It's cool to let our citizens know, hey, some things have changed. Here's a good idea to sign up.
If you go to transparency and then public notice.
Yeah, so I think it's like there, right? But like people
Right.
don't know. And so I just think just a quick blurb in like the newsletter for a couple months to say, there's been a couple changes. Here's a paragraph on how to sign yourself up.
Yep.
Stay informed.
I was going to say YouTube video, because some of the other ones the cities has done are pretty good
Yeah,
about
the YouTube
rezoning.
videos the city does are great.
Yeah, animations, they're great.
Yeah, we can talk to Annalisa about it.
I'll email her right now. Okay.
Sorry, thank you.
Do you want to go back to the presentation?
Yes.
Commissioner Ryan will stop asking questions.
Thanks. Oh, yeah, so that was the revised. We used to apparently give notice of site plan applications or public hearings related to site plans. We are not doing, we're not doing public hearings for site plans, and we haven't for a long time, I think. So this is more of a cleanup. This also, since this is kind of extra, given what we've already done, what we just discussed. So this used to say that if it doesn't concern a specific piece of property, then we're providing notice in a particular way, and if it does, then we're doing it in a different way. This has the 300 feet of the property included in the application. We're already doing that for those public notice items, so this wasn't needed. We're, instead of mirroring what the state code used to say, we've just decided to refer to the state code requirements for notice in this part, and then in this part as well. And then
Great idea.
this one, same here. Instead of kind of detailing 14 days advance public notice, et cetera, newspaper, we're just saying we're going to provide the notice as required by the code provisions. Same with the next one. And I think is that everything? I think it is. Any questions about this? Oh, wait.
Yeah, I think you have
Oh, yeah,
the
yeah. Yeah, this is
street
it.
names
Street names.
and then real property disposal, yeah.
This is the real property disposal part. And this one, I think, is the street names part. Yeah, it is. Is it?
No, I don't think so. It's 192702.
Okay. We might have to open up I may have missed.
Oh,
Oh, is this one street names? So that's agricultural protection. And then 21.06, that's not street names?
public hearing.
I know, but is it,
Oh. In
You'd have
the
to-
code?
yeah, in the code, sorry.
Oh, so.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Let me go look. City code. So addressing is 1927.
Yeah, 192702.
And 21 is agriculture.
Is it a typo then?
Do we have the wrong
We think that might be,
Action?
yeah, we think that,
public hearing, though?
go
So
to,
there is changes to 192702 in our,
oh, there are.
yeah.
Okay, I may have missed my slide.
Oh, okay.
If you want to pull up the packet.
Here we say 1920, on the agenda, we say 1921.
Oh, no, I think we're good in the packet.
27.
And I think it's just my slide.
Oh, okay.
Can you pull up the packet?
Yes.
So we can go there.
It's pretty innocuous, like, sorry for all the trouble. It seems like it's pretty.
Yeah, but we
changes.
want to catch it if we need to look at it. Okay, so that's agricultural
There it is,
protection
right?
areas.
Just scroll up just a little bit more. Sorry, down, then scroll down,
Oh, there we go.
right there.
Right there. Okay. Oh, yeah. So what we did is just deleted the by US mail. That kind of goes without saying. And at least 10 days before the public hearing, we're going to mail the notice. To the owners of the properties on the street affected and posting the notice on the entrance to the road, et cetera. So I don't know how often, since I've been here, I don't think we've done this before. Maybe one time?
My street got changed.
Oh,
Right after
there
I
you go. Okay.
The city discovered they had two primrose circles,
Oh, okay.
so they changed ours to clover.
Okay. Well, I apologize for missing that in my slides, but that's that change. Any questions? With that, unless there are further questions, just submit to you for a motion.
Okay, so this is a public hearing, and again, there is no one in the audience tonight, so I just want to make sure, I'll check with our Deputy City Recorder, Nicolette Fike. Did we receive any public comment for this? And I'll check with our Planning Director, Sarah Carroll. Did you receive any public comment on this?
No, I did not.
Okay, I will go ahead and close public comment at this time, and if there are no more questions or comments, I will entertain a motion.
I'd be happy to motion, Mr. Chair. So based on the evidence and explanations received today, I move to forward a positive recommendation to the City Council for the proposed amendments to Title 19 and Title 2 with the findings and conditions in the staff report and as presented this evening.
We have a motion from Commissioner Ryan. Do we have a second?
I can second.
We have a second from Commissioner Burns. Do we have a question on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. That motion passes. Okay, the next item is approval of minutes. Do you have any changes or comments on the minutes? I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved that we approve the minutes of the meeting in April, I'll get to it,
27.
April 27th, as presented.
We have a motion from Commissioner Hill. Do we have a second?
I can second.
I have a second from Commissioner Burns. Do I have a question on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Minutes are approved. Next is commissioner comments. Any comments this evening from the commissioners? Director's report from Sarah.
Okay, great. Since we last met, let's see. There was a planning commission meeting. Wait, no, it was actually before. We haven't, hold on a second. We had one on May 2nd, so we covered that. Oh, wait, sorry. What day is today? Okay. So on May 2nd, we covered the mixed waterfront ordinance, so that got adopted. And then the 2-lot subdivision in Talus Ridge that was requesting an IADU map amendment, that was approved. And then the crossing had an amendment, I think that was the one for signage. And that got approved. And then the home occupation and short-term rental and long-term rental, that code got tabled. Can discuss, we have time to discuss if that does have any type of impact on the transit room tax, is that what it's called? And then, so that one got tabled, and then Steel Ridge, Tommy's Car Wash, that got approved with the condition that they meet the gateway signage requirement. And that requirement is that they have uniform signage. And then that was it for that meeting. So our next planning commission meeting, we will have several more code changes for you. And then the Ring Road development rezone is scheduled. And this is all confirmed, right? In the Pet Suite site plan. So we'll have a pretty full agenda next time.
Okay, if there's not anything else, we'll adjourn this until our next regular scheduled meeting.
Okay.
Is that what date would that be?